Did an advanced civilization exist long before the Sumerians that we no longer know about today? Have the traces of this mysterious people literally disappeared? How well do we know our own past? A sailor has discovered something in the middle of the sea that has mainstream historians in a tight spot, because according to our history books, this ancient testimony should not exist at all. In 2014, the Portuguese Diocleciano Silva took his sailing ship out to sea to fish between the Azores islands of São Miguel and Terceira, as he often does. But soon afterwards, he began to doubt his own sanity, because what he saw on the sonar device simply couldn't be. After checking the equipment again, Diocleciano knew that his eyes had not been playing tricks on him. There was indeed a striking geometric pyramid-shaped structure slumbering at the bottom of the ocean. After the sailor had taken a closer look at his find, it was clear that the mysterious something lay 40 meters below the surface of the water and had an astonishing surface area of 8,000 square meters. Now, you might think that this discovery was undoubtedly spectacular, but it doesn't contradict our common understanding of history. Just think of the ancient seaport of Heraklion, which sank into the sea in the 8th century AD and was only rediscovered in the year 2000. The fact that ancient buildings disappear into the ocean over the course of time is therefore anything but inexplicable. Well, it's not quite that simple in the case of the underwater pyramid, because it is located in a region that has demonstrably been underwater for 20,000 years. So when is the structure supposed to have been built? And above all, who built it? Officially, the Sumerians are considered to be the first people to master the step towards advanced civilization in the 3rd millennium BC. However, if the discovered sea structure really was created with human hands, this can only have happened when the area was not yet flooded, and therefore many millennia before the Sumerians. So does the pyramid now prove the existence of a completely unknown civilization that unfolded before the last ice age? Some alternative minds take this exciting thought even further. Does the structure perhaps represent a remnant of the legendary island kingdom of Atlantis? After all, Atlantis is said to have literally perished. Well, there's a small catch. The majority of researchers are convinced that Plato's Atlantis myth was purely fictitious. And it is also conceivable that the real architect of the supposed pyramids was Mother Nature. The structure could be the result of a volcanic eruption or an ice age glacier, for example. And yet a big question remains: if the background to this discovery can be explained so easily, why were the pyramid's coordinates never published? Is a crashed UFO slumbering in the Baltic Sea? We have decoded the genome. We are looking deeper than ever into the secrets of the universe with the James Webb Telescope, and yet we are simply unable to explain what on earth is lurking at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. Discovered in 2011 by the Ocean X company between Sweden and Finland, we are dealing with a circular object that has the diameter of 60 meters and may have been artificially created. Furthermore, the so-called Baltic Sea anomaly has a height of 3 to 4 meters, and it has a series of strange recesses that tickle the imagination of the net community with their 90-degree angles, straight walls, and circular holes. Among the rock samples examined was a loose piece of basalt rock of volcanic origin. So could it be that this mysterious something is also linked to a volcanic eruption? Well, not really. According to estimates, the object is between 15,000 and 140,000 years old. However, the last volcanic activity in this region was 150 million years ago. So there is a lot of room for speculation in areas where reliable facts are scarce. As in the case of the underwater pyramid, it is suspected that the Baltic Sea anomaly is the work of a lost advanced civilization. Alternatively, an even more outlandish theory is circulating. The object is nothing other than an extraterrestrial spaceship that crashed into the Baltic Sea. The discoverers of the sunken mystery are still looking for sponsors to further research the structure and finally crack the riddle. Graham Hancock. This is proof of a lost civilization. Located in the waters off the namesake Bahamian island of North Bimini, Bimini Road is officially nothing more than an 800-meter-long structure of limestone blocks. However, this is contrasted by the controversial explanations put forward by alternative researchers such as Graham Hancock. Basically, the Briton puts forward the theory that we have already touched on in our video. A highly developed culture existed long before our time, which perished as part of a global catastrophe at the end of the last ice age. Afterwards, however, the few survivors went out into the world to bring the gift of civilization to the simpler peoples. But from a purely geological point of view, Bimini Road is by no means proof of a forgotten precursor culture. It is nothing more than a so-called beach rock formation which was composed of natural beach deposits. However, this hypothesis is massively questioned by the opposing side. In view of the astonishing presentation and the precise arrangement, the conclusion would rather be that we are dealing with a colossal artifact. But what could it have been in detail? Where did the road lead? Well, nowhere, because it's not a road at all, but the remains of an old port facility. This was either built by the aforementioned predecessor civilization or by the Chinese. At any rate, this is the theory put forward by British author Gavin Menzies in one of his controversial books. In the book, the author argues that the Chinese had already sailed around the world and made it as far as America when Christopher Columbus was still a penny dreadful. And as fate would have it, some sailors were stranded in the Bahamas between 1421 and 1423, where they subsequently built the Bimini Road. This diver discovered something incredible. True to the motto, "A mysterious underwater pyramid really comes alone," the Yonaguni Monument is also suspected of not being what the conservative geologists would have us believe. And here too, it was chance that helped catapult the dripping wet mystery into the public consciousness. The Japanese diver Keiichiro Aratake had actually set off in 1985 to look for new dive sites for tourists, but then his eyes fell upon a strange rock formation that is still the focus of heated debate today. While the structure lies at a depth of 5 to 30 meters and is 200 meters long and 150 meters wide, it baffles with the comparatively exact proportion and edges. However, most scientists believe that the Yonaguni Monument bears the signature of a classic erosion platform that was formed when the structure was still lying within the surf zone. Rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age then gave the site its unique appearance. However, given the straight angles and lines, it seems more likely to some experts that we are looking at the ruins of an Ice Age civilization that lived in southwestern Japan many thousands of years ago. This theory is also supported by some holes in the formation, which are sometimes interpreted as column foundations. Supporters of this theory assume that the structure was built between 8,000 and 10,000 years ago. However, this assumption is in stark contrast to the common understanding of our past. If one follows the established opinion about the history of civilization, there was simply no culture at that time that could have built the Yonaguni Monument. According to conservative views, people at that time were still simple hunters and gatherers. We only know of rudimentary ceramic works from the Jomon culture in the region from this era. But conversely, does this also mean that we have already uncovered everything about this era? Have these fishermen seen an alien? In addition to the mysterious underwater discoveries, supporters of the lost advanced civilization theory also point to a number of strange parallels. For although most ancient peoples have never officially crossed paths, they essentially know one and the same story: the story of a massive flood that plunged the world into chaos and subsequently brought mysterious creatures to light. According to Hancock, these divine beings were in fact the survivors of the lost civilization, but the proponents of pre-astronautics see the gods as aliens in the flesh. So, could it be that the ancients encountered inexplicable visitors who turned our worldview upside down? Is it possible that these creatures continued to appear on the world's beaches many centuries after the Ice Age? Or to put it another way, did these Japanese fishermen really see an alien? The story of Atsuro Bune is as intriguing as it is mysterious. According to legend, in 1803, some local fishermen spotted a strange boat off the Japanese coast. After the vessel washed ashore, the men realized that it had a round shape and was adorned with strange windows and metal strips. Once again, there was only one lone passenger inside the boat, a beautiful young woman with a strange appearance, holding a kind of box in her arms and not understanding the fisherman's language. In the same breath, the woman communicated in a language that none of those present had ever heard before. As the exotic visitor was obviously terrified of the strangers and the men did not know what else to do, they decided to let the boat drift out to sea again. All in all, there are 3 ways to approach this strange incident. The most unspectacular explanation is that the story of Usobune is merely a mixture of folklore and imagination. Alternatively, the woman could have been a British, Bengali, or American princess. The third theory does not look for the roots of the stranger in this world. We would be dealing with an early encounter of the third kind. Press subscribe now and never miss an exciting video again.